Hello, this is Liz Miller, and this is my video for the DBS video discussion. The article I chose is from a publication called Alcohol Research, and it deals with privacy and security in mobile health research. So kind of really specific little article here, but what it gets at, and I think this applies to a lot of different health areas, is how to create scalable systems capable of collecting unprecedented amounts of data and conducting interventions while at the same time protecting the privacy and safety of the research participants. I come from a medical background, so I find medical database security kind of interesting. And there are several things out there that lay out the rules that have to be followed. One of them is HIPAA. HIPAA's been around for almost 20 years, and it deals with what has to be secured and private, and also deals with portability of information. Further, in research stuff, medical research, there's a thing called the Common Rule where it kind of goes above and beyond what HIPAA says and gets into informed consent, adverse events, handling of biological data, and vulnerable populations. So that's kind of on top of everything that HIPAA requires. And then there's a third piece specifically around alcohol and substance use research, which talks about the records can only be shared after a written consent is obtained, even if this is to occur in a medical emergency. So there's a third layer in there where data can't just be released to another health professional at any time. So those are some specific issues at work with the security of databases in alcohol research. And there's kind of a nice table in the back here that talks about how to mitigate all these things. The the table deals with all possible kinds of risks that happen with medical data, specifically about data itself. They talk about data transmission, how using non-sensitive messages to contact participants kind of de-identifying the problem and getting the patient to call back in for more information, and also storing data remotely on a server somewhere or out in the cloud. Accessibility talks about having data stored in two locations to ensure that that data is always available. If one site goes down, the other site in theory should be up and available. Data integrity and quality talk about having a second system in place to validate data that was collected either in person or through a survey to ensure that the data is good data, not garbage. They also talk about security, reasons for authentication, and what type of authentication. They're advocating a two-step authentication, audits to review the whole processes. Encryption gets back to the security of the database. They want you to use a higher level of encryption to protect the data as it's being transferred somewhere. And I just thought the article was interesting that it's not just protecting the data, but it's protecting the person who the data is about and protecting the transmission of that data to people who do not need that data, that it's not just out there and available to everybody. So databases are a tough thing to manage, and medical databases just have a few more layers on top of them to protect the individual's information and to prevent data loss, data transfer that shouldn't happen. So I thought it was an interesting article, perhaps because this is kind of in my area of work with medications and alcohol and substance abuse. Thanks for watching.